Hello, this is my second episode of tutorial Create Inventory System in Unity. In this part we will implement storing inventory data in the database, and we will add tooltips and implement drag and drop feature. I'm gonna create new script and call it inventory DB. Make it inherit from scriptable object. Also, we need a script which will describe inventory storing item, call it inventory item. Remove unnecessary methods and inheritance from this class and mark it as serializable. Add base data for store is inventory item name and count. In the inventory DB, add array for inventory items. And put attribute create asset to be able to create a new instance of this database. Go to Unity editor and create instance of inventory DB and call it as is. Open inventory script and add method which will load inventory items from database. Also, we will need a reference to inventory DB instance. Enumerate inventory data. But first I'm gonna initialize inventory data with 20 items. This is default size for my inventory system. When scriptable object was instantiated, then array instance was created with 0 elements, so I'm gonna change array size manually in inventory DB. Go back to inventory script and use inventory slot count variable instead of inventory data length. Read inventory item by index. I decide to make inventory item a struct instead of class because I don't want care with references and I need just a plain information, so struct is more applicable for this. And we need to add variable which will be indicate about inventory item is used or it's free. I call it is used. Go back to inventory script and check if inventory item is used, then I will fill inventory cell. Get item information from items database by item name. In my case, name of item is a key, therefore inventory item, inventory cell and item name is equals. Fill icon sprite from inventory item. If not, then I will clear icon in inventory cell. Call load inventory from database method instead of dummy load in the start method. And remove dummy load method because it not need anymore. After that, run game mode and ensure that inventory is empty because no inventory items in the database. Now I put some example data in inventory just to make sure it works. As we can see, it's worked as well. Clear example data and open inventory slot prefab. We need to add item count indicator to show how many instances of inventory item we have, and also some inventory items may have a condition. For example, imagine we use in the game axe for chop tree and sword for attacking, and during the use of these tools and weapon this condition is decreasing. Therefore, we need a state indicator. For this, I just add image with horizontal fill. Open inventory slot UI script and add references for newly item count panel, item count text, state panel and state image. Mark private fields as serialized field to make it visible in the inspector. Go back to the editor and put reference to inventory slot UI script. Add check if item count text doesn't contain any text, then it should not be visible on inventory slot. If inventory item contains more than one instance in same inventory slot, for example, it's axe or sword, then we don't need to display count indicator for this. Also, we probably need separate indicator which may say item has a condition. Add boolean field called has state. In update method, check if item has state, then we show state indicator. Otherwise, we hide it. Extend setData method with count, have state and state parameters and fill inventory slot UI properties. Go to inventory UI script and pass additional parameters to slot UI setData method. But for now, we have no related data into inventory cell class, and so add count and state fields. Back to load inventory from database method and fill inventory cell, count and state, but for now we have no state field in the database. Go to inventory item script and add new field state. Open inventory script again and fill state field. Back to inventory UI script and pass newly added fields from inventory cell to inventory slot UI. In this place we need to get some data which we doesn't store in the database and have only in items database. So add items.db reference and put it in the editor. Get item from items.db by item name, as we remember the name is a key for inventory elements. But for now we forget to add item name to inventory cell. Navigate to inventory cell script and add name field. After that, go to inventory script and fill inventory cell name in the load inventory from database method. Finally, go back to inventory UI script and pass name to the get item by name method to find item info from items.db. Also, we need to extend item.db to store additional info. Open item script and add boolean field is stackable and max stack count. It will indicate if item can be stacked or it's a unit. This field we will need in the next episode. Add fields has state. We already know why this field needed, and max state value. It's a maximum available value for inventory item state, and also it's maybe an initial value for state. Navigate back to the inventory UI script and pass needed data to inventory slot UI from item. Open editor and select items.db. Fill newly added fields. Axe is a tool, it's a unit and can be stacked and have a state. The same for sword, but for wood is a vice versa. It can be stacked by having state. Go to inventory DB and fill example data. Run the game mode to ensure this works as well. Okay, something wrong. It happens because we try to get data from empty inventory item from inventory items.db. So we need a method for clear data in the inventory slot UI. Add boolean field is used to inventory cell. After that, need to fill it in inventory script. Go back to inventory UI script and check if inventory cell is used, then fill inventory slot UI data, otherwise clean the inventory slot. Run the game mode. Okay, I forgot to put reference to items.db in the inventory UI script. Run game mode again, now it works. Next, what we're going to do is add tooltips for display information about item when mouse over. Create tooltip UI layout, add panel to UI game object and put 2 text mesh pro instances. One for display name of inventory item and second for display inventory item description. Create script and call it tooltip and open it in the code editor. Add references for name and description texts. Mark it as serialize field. Remove start and update methods because we don't need it on this script, and add method show to show tooltip and hide method to hide tooltip. The start method, we need pass name and description data which we will show on the tooltip. Also, we need add reference to all tooltip content to manage tooltip visibility. In the show method, we just fill our text mesh pro instance with passed name and description parameters. In hide method, we clear text mesh pro instance and make tooltip panel inactive. Add update method, we need it to calculate tooltip position, and add boolean field is tooltip visible to know that tooltips is visible or not. In show method, we set is tooltip visible as true, and in hide method we set it as false. Inside update method, we check if tooltip is not visible, then we're nothing to do, just return. Set tooltip panel position the same as mouse position. Go to the editor and wrap tooltip content into new panel and call it tooltip panel. Add newly tooltip component and pass needed elements to this. To be able to show tooltip from anywhere without referencing tooltip through components, we will make tooltip script as singleton. That means we can have only one instance of this class in the game. Add public static property with getter and add private static field with tooltip type. In public property in getter we just return private instance field. Add start method and check if instance not assigned yet, then assign it by current instance. That's all regarding singleton in this case. Go to inventory slot UI and add two interfaces, iPointer enter handler and iPointer exit handler into definition and implement interfaces methods. OnPointer enter calls when mouse cursor over UI element, and OnPointer exit calls when mouse cursor leave. Use previously created tooltip singleton to show tooltip in the OnPointer enter method. We have no needed data in inventory slot UI. This data is name and description. Add fields for this. Extend setData method to receive inventory item name and description and fill related fields. Pass item name and description to tooltip show method. In the OnPointer exit, we just call hide tooltip method. Go to inventory UI script and pass needed data for inventory slot UI. For now we have a description field in the items database. So go to item class and add description field. Back to inventory UI script and pass description to setData method. Now open editor and select items DB and fill example descriptions. Run game mode and move mouse to inventory slot. For now, have a problem with raycasting of UI elements. To fix it, need to open inventory slot prefab and disable parameter raycast target in all items except one is background image. And also need completely disable raycast target in tooltip content. Now it's work fine, but we have another issue. This we show tooltip for empty slots. To fix it, we need open inventory slot UI script and add check to OnPointer enter. If item name is not empty, this means that inventory slot is not empty. Then we show tooltip. For now, I want to add some offset for render tooltip. It will be moved by X, Y axis to up and right. Okay, we are done with tooltips, and now let's go make a drag and drop feature. Open Open inventory slot UI script and implement two additional interfaces. It's iDrop handler and iDrag handler. And implement related two methods is onDrag and onDrop. We actually need to implement more two interfaces is iBeginDrag handler and iEndDrag handler, and two methods onBeginDrag and onEndDrag. Okay, onBeginDrag calls when we start dragging item but before dragging. OnDrag method calls during drag process until we release the mouse button. OnEndDrag calls when we released mouse button. And if we released mouse button upon element which implement iDrop handler interface, then onDrop will be called. In inventory slot UI script, add new boolean method call is used. That method checks if the slot is not empty. Add check to the method onBeginDrag if its slot is used. Go to the editor and create draggable item on UI. It's need to handle dragging item on UI. Open inventory UI script and make it a singleton, as we already did here. Also, in this script we need reference to newly created draggable item on UI. Add two methods for show draggable item and hide it. Open the editor, select inventory panel and put draggable item to inventory UI. Disable draggable item. It should be invisible by default. Back to the code and open inventory UI script. In show draggable item, make draggable item active, and make it inactive in hide draggable item. Go to inventory slot UI script and in onBeginDrag call show draggable item method, and call hide draggable item method in onEndDrag method. Back to the editor and add new script, call it inventory draggable item. Open it in the code editor. Copy the code from inventory slot UI and paste it into inventory draggable item. Remove unnecessary code. After that, open inventory UI script and fill or clear draggable item data, but for this need to extend show draggable item method parameters. Go to inventory slot UI script and provide needed data to show draggable item into onBeginDrag method. For draggable items, we do not need to do same calculations which we already did for inventory slot UI. So, back to inventory UI script and change parameters in show draggable item. Perform the same changes for inventory draggable item setData method. In onDrag method of inventory slot UI script, call method to set draggable item position. This is not exist yet, then we're gonna create this one. Open new method definition and set draggable item transform position. Back to the Unity editor, select draggable item and add inventory draggable item component and fill needed data. Remove inventory slot UI component from this game object. Go to the code editor and add item name field in inventory draggable item script and pass it through set data and show draggable item methods. In inventory slot UI, in onBeginDrag method, perform clear data for dragging slot, otherwise we will see copy effect. Also, we need to add method is draggable item visible in inventory UI script to define is we dragging item just now. Open inventory slot UI script and add additional check for is draggable item visible in onPointerEnter method. When we end drag, we need to call inventory UI refresh method to update current inventory state. Create new method, refresh inventory cells in inventory UI script and perform refactoring in this script to extract fill inventory cells to separate method. Add clear inventory cells method and implement clear inventory cells data code. Call clear inventory cells method from refresh inventory cells method. Make refactoring to decide should we create new inventory cells that's need only on start or refresh cells data. Call fill inventory cells method from refresh inventory cells and starts methods. Run game mode and check that it's worked as well. It seems that dragging is works. Now we need to implement drop handling. For now, just add debug info to check that it's handled correct. Run game mode and check that we can see debug information. As we can see, in most cases, we don't see debug information. It happens because draggable item canvas receives the array because draggable item layouted above all other UI elements. To fix it, we need to add canvas group component to draggable item and in the inventory UI script add field for store reference to draggable item canvas group. In start method, we just get canvas group component from draggable item game object. When we show draggable item, we set block raycasts to false, and when hide draggable item, set block raycasts back to true. Run game mode and ensure that we get debug information each time when we drop items into slot. Now when it's fixed, we're gonna implement drop feature. Back to the code, open inventory slot UI script and in onDrop method call inventory instance. But first need to add new method which will perform move inventory items inside the inventory script. Also, we should make inventory scripts as singleton. Add new method called moveInventoryItem which receive two index of cells. First is index of cell from dragging item and second parameter is index of cell where we drop item. But first we need to add fields index to inventory slot UI and fill it in inventory UI script. Also, we need to add method for extract slot UI data from pointer event data. I call it get target index from event data. In this method, we get game object from pointer drag and after get slot UI component from game object. Create method move inventory item in the inventory script and just swap inventory items from cell with index to cell with target index. Back to the get target index from event data method and add additional check. If we can get inventory slot UI component from pointer game object, we can try to get it from parent game object. Also, I found a problem in my implementation regarding slot indexes. We set slot indexes only for used inventory cells, but we need to set indexes for all cells. Therefore, I make a little refactoring to set index field directly instead of use setData method. And in onDrop method need to change get source slot instead of target. Run game mode and check that we can drop items. It's work now, but we don't save inventory changes into database. And when we start game again, we got inventory state from database. To fix it, we need open inventory DB script and add new method called move items in database. And it will swap item from one position to another by changing indexes. And call it from inventory script in method move inventory item. Run game mode and check that inventory change is saved. Okay, now it's working as well. That's all for this episode. Thank you for watching. I hope this video was helpful. In the next and last episode, I will implement item stacking and will add some imitations to full demonstrate of working with my inventory.